All right, y'all. Welcome to the Texas Poker Experience. I'm Caitlin Komeski. I'm here with new father and podcast co-host Craig Sear. We are happy to bring you one of my sweet, close personal friends who I've known for my whole time in poker. He's a commentator on TCH Live. He's a former nuclear physicist. He's a circuit ring winner. That's correct, right? Yep. Circuit ring winner. Please welcome to your ears, Aaron McEvoy.
Yo, what's going on?
Thanks for joining us today, Aaron.
Thanks for having me.
So what was the event that you won? Let's get this credit right. Credit where credit is due.
I've won 2 circuit events, but
shit, my bad.
Yeah, so I had a really amazing run down at the New Orleans, the Harrah's New Orleans stop of the WSOP. This was 4 years ago, something like that. And I was just going to go out there for the first weekend and just play the opening event, and then there was like a multi-flight situation that was going to go over the weekend, right? So it was like playing the Friday tournament and then through the weekend. And I just shipped the first event. Like I drove into town. I parked my car in the garage and just shipped the first event and was like, oh, this is pretty cool.
I mean, that's what you're supposed to do when you play in these things. You're trying to win.
Were you so fresh and green that it wasn't even registering to you how monumental what you had achieved was? Or did you know right away oh shit, this doesn't happen for people that have been working years for this?
No, so that was my first tournament played after I moved to Texas, and then I started playing full time. So this was very much just in the middle of I just moved here and I left my career behind and I don't know what I'm doing yet. So I hadn't really figured anything out. I was also not a very good poker player at the time, but I had been playing for a long time. So it was a very, I took it seriously as a hobby. I would go and play tournaments. I would go and play main events even at WSOP stops, usually selling action to my friends back in New Mexico, things like that. But no, I ran like God and I just won the first event. And the lovely thing about winning the first event, which I had never experienced before and probably will not experience again, but is that each stop there's at that time anyways, I don't actually know what it is now, you accumulate points. And the winner, whoever accumulates the most points over that stop, gets an extra tournament entry into the Tournament of Champions or whatever, held once per year. They've since gotten rid of that, unfortunately. But basically, you win the first one, you're at the top of the leaderboard, right? And now you've got a real shot at running deep in some other tournaments and just staying there. And it was basically a 10K free roll if you finish the series at the top of the leaderboard. So called my girlfriend at the time and was like, so I won, which is awesome, and I think I need to stay here and play the rest of the series. And that didn't quite go over super well, but
and that was the beginning of the end for her.
yeah, kind of, but no, but so it was just all right, this is what I'm doing, and yeah, stuck it out. Won the first event and won the last event. And I needed to win the last event. Well, I needed to get
beautiful symmetry.
Needed to get 12th or better in the last event in order to do better than the guy that was currently leading at the time, and managed to pull it off. So
it's kind of like Vegas vacation vibes. Put $1 in, win a car. Put $1 in, win a car. Put $1 in, win a car. Put $1 in, win a car.
Yeah. It was a pretty amazing run, I will say, because I also got third in another event. It was just a constant grind. You have to be performing to have a chance. And
so it makes really sense that you decided when you had all those great successes right away to pursue poker full time, barring those results. What is the career that you left behind for those of us that don't know you as well?
Yeah, so I was a physicist by training.
What kind of degree do you need for that?
Well,
Probably a physics degree would be my guess.
I don't fucking know, Craig. Let me ask questions. I'm trying to educate here.
I said my guess. I don't know.
I thought he needed a bachelor in fine arts.
Exactly.
Like I have.
No, undergraduate degree in physics and graduate degree in nuclear engineering.
Graduate. Wow.
Yeah.
Oof.
But yeah, so...
Does that mean you can still... I'm sorry, I keep interrupting you, but can you still do pre-calculus if you needed to?
Or
trigonometry?
Pre-calculus. Trigonometry.
Math?
Yeah, I think it's funny.
Do I not understand what nuclear physics is?
Well, those are the Those are like the math classes that you've seen. Like I took that shit plus like another, 6 or 7. So
I've never felt dumber in my life than asking you about like STEM right now.
Pre-calc is like 3x plus 1 equals 7.
yeah,
You lost me. You lost me.
carry the one. So, but no, I haven't done like that kind of math in forever. So I don't think I could do any of that.
Okay, I'm sorry. I derailed you. Tell me more about your life in New Mexico.
Okay. Well, so yeah, finished up graduate school in Wisconsin, went back to New Mexico where I'd been working previously at Los Alamos National Laboratory, and got a job there as a postdoc, and did that for about 1.5 years. And that's sort of like the time frame where you convert to a staff member scientist, and it just really wasn't. I just wasn't feeling it. Like there's something about spending your whole like formative years just loving science and wanting to work in science, and then finally getting there and being like, cool, this is a giant political bureaucratic shithole.
Oh, yikes.
Instead of just like we're gonna fix all the problems and solve fusion, and we're gonna it's gonna be great. So and obviously like the people that I worked with were great, and the projects were interesting.
When I picture you working in New Mexico, I always picture you in like a lab coat with like test tubes and beakers. Were you like actually just like in a conference room wearing a cardigan? Like, what does nuclear physics look like? I couldn't tell you.
No cardigans involved in anything ever. But
Caitlin needs one of those memes where it's like, what I do, what my friends think I do, what my parents think I do, what I actually do.
He's wearing cardigans in all of the images for whatever reason.
Just, buck teeth out, the lab coat. No, the lab coat did come into effect every once in a while. Like,
okay.
So there's 2 types of physicists. There's experimental and there's theoretical. And the theoretical guys are very much the cardigan wearing types that just sit there and like,
Sounds like a slur when you say it.
Yeah, now we're casting judgment.
It's
cardigan wearing types.
It's a dichotomy inside of physics, very much so. Yeah. And so the theoretical guys are very like lonerish. They have fewer social skills, generally speaking. I mean, it's all of course it's all
cardigan
like,
wearers.
Yeah. It's very much like stereotypical, but it checks out a lot of the time.
It almost sounds like the dichotomy between like GTO and exploitative. Like,
ooh, nice.
So which physicist would be of which ilk in the poker world?
The theoretical guys, the theory guys are definitely the GTO players. Where they'd be like, well, actually, like
fucking losers.
Yeah, that was 49% fold. So you
nice sweater, dipshit. Shut up.
Yeah. Hand me the beaker.
Technically, it's not a sweater; it's a cardigan.
Shut up and turn on the pressure chamber. Is that a thing? I don't even know.
Did you consider if you were
vacuum chamber? Usually, you don't usually pressurize it. You take the pressure out. But
thanks, babe.
Depressurizing. Yeah. Did you consider after moving on from literal rocket science? Did you consider moving on to brain surgery? Maybe just for the memes.
No, but breast augmentation. I was briefly entertaining that idea just because that sounds like a great job. No, I'm kidding. But no, honestly, I really didn't know what I was going to do when I moved to Texas. I had some ideas about sort of just starting my own projects. There was one like sort of physics related project that I think is still very cool, but was just like, fuck, I have no idea if I'm going to be able to just conjure this up in my garage, And before I even got started on that, had this really great success down in New Orleans. And it was after that, and like within the first week of moving here, actually, I knew that Austin had card rooms. And so the first place I walked into was Texas Card House and played 1-2 and was just like, this is just a thing that you can do.
Played 1-2 for 3 hours, made $1,900, and you were like, oh, man.
I might do this more.
Yeah. It wasn't quite that much of a gold mine, but yeah, the games here are obviously great. They haven't changed since the day I walked in. And it was just like, while I'm just waiting to sort of have some inspiration about what I'm going to do, I can at least go and put in time at something that I can make money at. And so, yeah, that was very much something that I was doing as well. And once New Orleans happened, it was just kind of like, all right, I guess I just have to keep trying this and see what happens. And then I had to actually get good at poker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's when your sort of academic background and you used to studying and being studious came into plan. So what was the first time you did commentary? Do you remember how you got into the commentary booth? Do you remember who asked you or like what that journey was like?
Yeah. So, I mean, that was many years ago now.
Oh my gosh, years ago?
Yeah.
We're so old.
Yeah, we are. So back when our buddy Mike was the lead commentator there at TCH, and great guy, of course. And yeah, Youngblood just like, I think he was actually getting some direction from the owner, you know, like try to find some more people, bring some people into the booth with you, and like, let's see what gels. Because he was doing every stream, and it was just like, you know, he was getting burned out because he was doing radio stuff for the local high schools and stuff. So he had asked a couple of people to come in. I don't remember where I was like in the ordering or whatever, but I feel like I was one of the first people to go in the booth with him, and we just had such a blast. Like the whole stream was just fun, and we had a really good connection. He asked me to come back. Went in like the next week or whatever. We had the same sort of experience where it was just a ton of fun. We were laughing the whole time. We got to talk about hands. And then it was after that Ryan, the owner of TCH, reached out to me and said, "Hey, let's grab lunch." And
I'm gonna put a ring on it, baby. He said, "I want you mine exclusively."
Yeah. So and the rest is history. So started out doing the whatever 1-3 game that I guess it used to be on Thursdays, and did that for a long time till Mike left. Then I sort of graduated to play to doing the bigger game, the 5-10 game. Yeah. And that's where we are now.
No, I mean, I'll just give you your props as a commentator. You obviously have very sound theoretical knowledge and analytical knowledge of the play, but you also do a really good job of always interacting with your color commentator, whether that be Pratt or Carolyn or me. I just feel like you banter really well, and there's a reason why, you know, you've stuck around so long. Other people have come and gone, but you stay. So they're your props.
Thanks, man. Appreciate
it. I find a lot of time the commentary, and we talked a little bit about this last episode where we were talking about Hustler and how there's just so much human theater in that. And sometimes, maybe because of the lack of audio in a lot of the Texas streams, you don't get as much of it. So it's kind of on the commentator to provide a little bit of entertainment and context. And when the commentary gets super, super dry, it's hard to get that.
To connect.
I do believe you had one of the funniest lines I've ever heard on a live stream where a guy was drawing dead on the turn and he decides to make a move. And you pointed out that he was not completely dead. He was dead to like a 9 of hearts is what you said. And the 9 of hearts was on the flop.
That sounds like me. Yeah.
I burst out laughing, and my wife is like, "What the hell's so funny?" And I was like, "It would take me 25 minutes to explain how funny that was." And it's like nerdy humor, and I loved every minute of it. Yeah. I was like, it's absolutely what's missing from poker streams, and probably most people didn't even get it because it was just so matter of fact. You didn't change your tone. It was just super, super dry, and I was like, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
Looks like he's going to make a move here, dead to a foul deck. That's about it.
Yeah. He needs this thing to melt down real quick.
As a commentator, how do you find the balance between, you know, wanting to give good sound analytical commentary, but also, you know, wanting to provide an experience for the players? Like, let's say you invite a player on who is like me at the beginning of my career. I was like an absolute whale, fish, whatever, but you still have to comment on what I'm doing. But you also want me to come back and continue to be an action player on the stream. Like, how do you strike that balance to be like fair to what is happening, but also generous to your talent, as it were?
Truth now, apologies later.
What? No, I fully admit that I do absolutely garbage donkey behavior on the stream that needs to be called out.
So you tell the truth on the stream and then apologize later.
Oh, yeah. But I asked him because he's the one that does it. Shut the hell up, Craig. I'm sorry.
Well, I mean, I get so maybe I should put more thought into that. I guess I just kind of don't. I'm just like, I'm going to just show up and do my job, and I don't really care like who this person is. Like people that I know personally that have come on the stream, like I'll feel a little bit more freedom to like rib them or be like, this is a punt or whatever, you jackass. But I'm not going to say that about just, you know, some random person, right? And I'm also not in charge of like the lineups or anything like that. So I like show up and find out who's playing, you know? Yeah. And then I'm like, all right, like that play was either like to me a mistake or it was getting a little bit out of line or whatever. I just sort of call it the way I see it. And so I don't know. I do my best to be I guess I just try to be truthful about it. Yeah. And I don't feel like I have
use those
animosity
buzzwords in poker that people use when they're trying. Like, I feel like these are the terms for when you want to describe a wretched play, but you want to be generous. Ambitious.
Yeah, ambitious.
Creative.
Definitely number one on the list.
Ambitious and creative. If you hear that described about your play, y'all, they not being nice.
Yeah, it's like the southern equivalent of like, oh, bless your heart. Yeah. But at the same time, it can be tricky too because sometimes a player is just like out to lunch, like as far as making anything close to correct plays.
Yeah, you can go on tilt on camera, y'all. It's a thing that happens to us.
It's implied when you're going to go on a live stream that you're opening yourself up to criticism, whether it's, it'd be different if you were saying something about somebody's play and it wasn't true and you're just being unfairly harsh to their play or their playing style or anything like that. Mm-hmm. But as a show develops and you have characters that are on, like I'm sure there's people that have watched Caitlin play a dozen times at this point that have never met her. And there is certain things that just like in a sitcom or something, you have character development over time. And it could just be one of those things where you're just constantly ripping on this one player who's actually pretty good. That happens at games that I deal. I just rip on the good players constantly, needle them. I got compared to like, I'm the Dick's last resort of dealers the other day because I am just like constantly needling players, but I only needle the good ones and they kind of know that. So it's just never ending. And that's entertaining. Like there's a lot of entertainment besides poker entertainment on these live streams.
For sure. But I will say we're going to talk a little bit more about the difference between a whale and a shark later. But I do think Hustler does a great job of making their whales feel like just as big a rock stars as their crushers. I really do.
Good example on the Hustler stream of exactly what I was just talking about is when they do their intro and they have they're like panning around the table and they have everyone in there and they'll just have like the little subplot. Mm-hmm. I don't know who does that, but those things are hilarious.
They're spot on, yeah.
Yeah, it'll say like Beanie Baby Collector.
I feel like it's got to be DGaff or Vertucci. They're both really witty. And then like all those guys are so witty. Tuckman, y'all have me back. I love all y'all. They're so funny. And then who's the other one? Mark Goon is like a fucking riot too.
Yeah.
I like y'all. Please let me come back to California.
So I saw an Instagram story from this past weekend. The Lodge just wrapped up another big series. And I saw an Instagram story where someone during one of the tournaments, they went all in. They had the best hand. And then they didn't win. Do you know if that really happened?
That doesn't sound right.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you have tournament, if you have the best hand at that moment, like you're supposed to win.
I thought you were. Are you trolling me about my quads over boat hand? I can't tell because the Lodge runs a tight ship. Please don't imply.
No, I'm trolling literally 95% of poker players in this town that post on Instagram.
When it's Lodge series.
Okay, look. 955 people enter a poker tournament. One person fucking wins the thing, okay? For Christ's sake, we understand suckouts are gonna happen. You have to understand. You sign up for a poker tournament, you are signing up for pain. Like, bring on the pain. Okay?
Everybody's the star of their own movie, though, Craig. They're providing the content for their fans.
And then when the pain comes, you are genuinely surprised. It just never ceases to amaze me.
This is encroaching on harsh but fair territory. Craig trolling on all the tournament players.
Oh, I still would rather share a prison cell with Jeffrey Dahmer than play a poker tournament.
No, but it's true. And after you get knocked out, you follow the stories of everyone still in, and you're like, anti-sweating some and sweating the others.
Ugh. Heinous. I just don't. There's nothing about it that entices me outside of winning, which there's a.
Okay, yeah, but just let me remind Craig. Craig, how many events did you enter in the Lodge? Did you even shoot at?
0.
Yeah, that's right. Shut your fucking mouth and let us post our stories about our bad beats.
Broke even for the series.
That's the most vanilla thing ever. I don't like to play tournaments because they're hard.
Yeah, they are.
I don't have the stamina.
Why would I challenge myself and improve?
Yeah, and like try to score life-changing money for $1,000.
Craig can't play 2-3 hours at a time. He needs too many cigarette breaks. It's too hard for him.
That's also why I've never been a physicist. It's hard.
Yeah.
Not enough smoke breaks.
Fuck that.
Aaron,
Sir, you
how
can't
is
smoke in here. Don't tell me how to live my life, okay? Just it'll be
step
fine.
away from the vacuum chamber, please.
Head all tucked up in the fume hood, fucking burning one. Yeah.
All right. How was your series, Aaron? What'd you enter? How'd you do?
I played the monthly monster, the art of poker, and the main event. Cashed 2 of them, the monthly monster and the main, but nothing too exciting. Okay. Got a couple buy-ins back or whatever. So
Okay, nice.
Yeah, can't complain. Anytime you have to enter one tournament like more than once, like I had 3 bullets in the main, still made a small profit. Like that's a win, But always sucks when you make it far and flame out.
For sure.
That's the way it goes.
Okay,
What about
neither.
you?
I was like, I swear to God, if you don't ask me right now, and you make me introduce my own
hold on,
tournament
let's
performance,
see.
I'm never forgiving you.
Caitlin, did you play any events?
Thanks for asking. Yes, I did. Okay, so I played the monthly monster. I got 38th. Thank you. And then I played Art of Poker, and I actually final tabled Art of Poker. I got 9th place. And then the main event, I fired 2 bullets, but I did not cash. I bubbled the event. I was eliminated maybe 1 table before the cash.
Yeah, made day 2 though. That's pretty good.
Yeah, I had a decent bag. Like honestly, it wasn't that exciting of a day 2. Maybe I was like, sitting on the blinds that I came with. I was just up plus or minus a few big blinds, and then I had ace queen under the gun, and Chad, sweet Chad Keating, shout out, my favorite one to needle and be needled by. He called me on the button, ace 9 5 flop or something, and he check raises me small. It is double suited. There were 2 hearts out there, but I don't think Chaz is pulling that move on me at this point in the tournament on this day. But I still peeled the turn, Jack of spades on the turn, and I let it go. And he actually shows me the set of 9s. But after that point, I just, was crippled and got it all in. King, queen against queens, all she wrote, just like Craig said, only one person wins the tournament, and it's not enough to play your best poker. You have to be skilled, you have to be lucky, and you have to avoid the landmines.
I believe it was Doug Polk that said if you want to win a poker tournament, you must win every single chip in the room.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how it works. You got to play kind of aggressively, and that's not always going to go well. In fact, it's not going to go well often, ever. Chad, I do believe, cashed like 5,300 or so in the main, in the $1,200
He did.
main.
He ran
and I don't
deep.
believe he made any money.
No, I think he got like 20th and broke even because he fired so many bullets, kind of a thing. But you know what? He did run up that stack. He flopped a set of 9s on me. When I left the tournament, he had a double average chip stack. So all my love to Chad, who really looked locked in on Sunday. I thought there was a chance he would final table because at our table he was, it was definitely like an elevated version of Chad who's, a little more locked in and knows how to fold. And
I think cash game Chad and tournament Chad are different people.
Well, day 1 tournament, even more so than that. Day 1 tournament, Chad, like when I saw him on my table and he was the chip leader, I got so excited thinking day 1 Chad was going to be there. And it was not day 1 Chad. It was day 2 Chad. So good game, Chad. I'm super, super proud of you and I love you.
I think day 1 Chad and cash game Chad are the same Chad. But
They are the same. They have a similar thirst for the ambrosia that is
I think once the chips
Long Island's.
I think once the chips get sealed in plastic, he switches gears.
Good on him.
Yeah,
But
that's a good way to do it, really.
Yeah.
GG Chad. Was there anything else newsworthy or noteworthy about the series? Congratulations to Jonah, who was a participant on the Georgetown live stream. If y'all haven't checked out that Georgetown live stream, they have been getting going. My friend Sam Perryman does commentary for them. Jonah, the main event champion, did their most recent stream on last Saturday. So if you want to see him play what it takes to take down a main event, definitely peep that. Give that a little love.
I'm happy to put a lid on the Lodge series, but
Okay.
I wanted to talk about the one at the Venetian.
Yikes. Y'all hear about this?
Steps.
Why
to
people
million.
just like canceling guarantees? Like the word guarantee doesn't mean I'm gonna be there. Like it's like they're a fuckboy on Hinge. Like get it together, tournaments. What?
Yeah, it's starting to become, and I don't know why people aren't questioning it. I feel like it needs to be brought up more. A guarantee should be just that. Guaranteed. They're really watering down the term when you say guarantee. You have someplace like the Lodge that falls $200K short in a huge event, and they just are like, okay.
And
we guaranteed
incidentally,
it.
the Texas is the state that doesn't have the gaming commission. Texas is the
Right.
state where like there ain't nobody looking over your shoulder but the, incels on Twitter and your customer base. And Doug held himself to a standard. Andrew, Brad, Jason, the Lodge team, they said, no, ma'am, I know what a guarantee means. So I don't know why all these other clubs be messing around like they don't know what that word means.
Yeah.
And how did they get away with it? Like, there's a gaming commission there. Explain that to me.
So there was a Poker Night in America years and years and years ago, and Doug Polk was on it. And this guy wanted to do when the stream was over. This guy had like 137K, but he was in for like $500,000.
Yeah.
And so he asked Doug if he wanted to flip for it. So they do like a 10-card flip. They're gonna sweat. They're just like one card at a time, whatever. They get to a point where they want to start making a deal. Doug lets the guy buy out for like 50K. He takes 50K back, and Doug takes the rest, and the guy would have got there. It was hilarious. It was entertaining. And watching them, go back and forth, deciding how much of a rebate the guy was going to get in order to just fold the rest of his cards. It was awesome. Later found out that casino got fined like $250K because they violated, they don't have a license to spread like a 10-card flip. That's not a game that they're like licensed to deal in that casino. And I'm like, so you're going to harp on them for doing one flip at the end of a live stream for, thousands of people's entertainment, but they can say guaranteed in a poker tournament and then just be like, no, just kidding. We're not going to hold that guarantee.
Hustler, I do have love for. They got robbed that weekend, and the bike had a competing event. And also, I would like to participate on their live stream. So.
I mean, it's different when something actually happens, but when something gets canceled, then they're not even trying to explain it away, or their explanation is just not a valid one. It's just like, oh yeah, we just we weren't going to make the guarantee, so we decided to not do the tournament at all.
Yeah, and I don't know. I mean, it's very ticky-tacky and like, just it's bullshit, but. They canceled it, right? It's not like they ran the tournament and then lowered the guarantee or removed the guarantee. So they're just like, we're not even going to run the tournament. So they don't even actually have to go down that road. So I think a lot of people would see the tournament running, but removing the guarantee as like a bigger violation. Cause it's like, wait, it's not a guarantee then. But if you don't even run the tournament, then it's like, okay, then you just removed it entirely. I'm not saying that one is better than the other or either way, but I think they have almost sort of skirted the changing of the prize pool by just not running the tournament, right? Like they kind of got away with it.
It's the lesser of two evils. It won't get talked about as much because it just never happened. It's not them, reneging on a guarantee. They just didn't have the event. And then it kind of doesn't get, I say it all the time, speak with your dollars as consumers, like just don't go to the Venetian. That's bullshit. Like you are promoting a tournament, running it. What about people that flew out there and had a room and they were going to play in this event and then all of a sudden it's just like not there? I know there's other things to do in Las Vegas, but still, that's fucked up. There's people that travel around just to play, tournaments that get to a buy-in of a certain size, and they fly all the way out there and make accommodations and, take care of things at home so that they can be gone for 3 or 4 days, and then they get all the way out there and it's like, oh, just kidding, we're not going to have the event.
So this story breaking has actually opened a lot of discourse or reopened discourse to do with the fact that Venetian really doesn't cater to the high-end player or the reg player of a certain level. It's almost something you have to graduate through. It's brought up that, it's harder for the high rollers to get paid out if they have cash outs over a certain amount. Other clubs and casinos on the Strip are a lot more accommodating, and the Venetian is not. The Venetian also takes a harsh stance against vlogging, so much so to the point where they really came down hard on Rampage for filming his whole cards during a tournament, even though he's like one of the most popular vloggers in existence. So they've been getting pushback about that. Their TD Tommy getting called out by name a lot, and people giving them a lot of grief and guff about, they want the transient tourists. They just want those people spilling out drunk over from the casino. That's the business model, and it's not so much creating like a long-standing incorporation that interacts with a regular loyal customer base.
Yeah. I just think it's so disgusting when somebody, like if someone ever guarantees me something and then they don't do it, that person is pretty much dead to me.
Yeah.
You do what you say you're going to do.
Not me,
your
y'all.
word
You
is
get
your
second
bond,
chances
right?
with Mama. I'm a soft spot to land.
Speaking of that, along the same lines, we were talking a little bit before we started recording about borrowing money. I thought it would be a good subject just to kind of talk about on here. I had a conversation with a friend probably 4 years ago at this point. It was definitely before COVID. And it used to be a thing in poker, right? Where someone's out of cash and it's like, hey, can I borrow a couple hundred, 500, whatever, depending on the game. It might be more than that. And that person is deemed good for it. And, it just ends up being like everyone has a price. Eventually the guy's going to owe somebody $10K and just like skate, leave town. And much like the guarantee, it's like once you owe somebody money and you're not going to pay them back or haven't paid them back by the time you said that you would, it's like your credit is no longer any good, in that community. But then this discussion was like, why would anyone let anyone borrow money anymore? You have Venmo, we have Cash App. Like you can convert your Venmo, Cash App, PayPal, Zelle, there's Apple Pay, there's Google Pay. I mean, there's a million ways to do it now. If you have the money, you should be able to convert it to cash somewhere with someone at the table easily.
And I think like there's something about gambling money you don't have if the cash is in your account and like maybe, I need this money to pay rent and I'm gambling. It's one thing to gamble with your own money, but to like take that chance with your friend's money, I just think is so dark. And
where I have a real problem
to be
with
gambling when you owe other people money, I think is wrong. Poker like requires a bankroll if you're doing it for a living, if you're doing it for fun, like there's a line where it becomes an addiction and it becomes something that's like ruining your life. And we don't talk about that a lot because we want to talk about the good things about poker and the great things and the infrastructure it creates and the jobs but when we like broach the money borrowing conversation, we have to talk about that dark corner where there are people that do have a problem and there are people that aren't going to pay you back because they can't. And you have to protect yourself in this community. And it's one thing to want to keep certain people in the game and, want to keep the action player around. And, sometimes as, the pro in the game, you do take those chances or you let somebody Zelle you cash. But it's a dangerous game, and I'm out of the money lending business. And I don't care, $50, $200. I used to get guilted into it when people who I know knew that $200 is no big deal for me to loan out, and I would have to say yes. But here, I'm telling it now on camera, it's not happening anymore because it feels fucking rotten when your friend owes you a small amount of money and then you see them playing or if months go by and you don't get paid back. It's a rotten feeling to know that your friendship literally has a dollar amount and it's that small.
All I've ever noticed, all I've learned after 4 or 5 years of just being around the game, constantly playing, dealing, everything, just being around poker players, is like the most credit-worthy folks are the people that never ask to borrow. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of a pointless charade at this point. And unfortunately, it's gotten to the point where if I'm in a game and someone says, oh, can I send Venmo for like $200? I'm going to be like, yeah, just deal him out until this Venmo comes through. And like, I will hold the money. Because there's even been times where I'm there and get the charade of like, oh, yeah, I'm sending it right now. And it's like, they're not.
Yeah.
They're not sending it. And like they've got the chips, they've got a hand, they're involved in the hand, and like now some of that money's in.
Yeah, your money's gone at this point. Yeah.
Well, that's
I'm
awesome
like, okay.
that you gatekeep that for your games as the dealer. That's really cool.
It's just kind of one of those things that there's no excuse anymore. With all the electronic money options, there's no excuse. It's like cash for chips.
Yeah. And for those that owe me money that have said they're working towards paying me back and have put a date on it, I really do appreciate you. But yes, it is stressful when you borrow money and you don't pay me back for really long stretches of time. Straight up. These are like, I'm not a gosh darn billionaire. Like, I feel it.
The other thing you don't see a lot of is you don't see acts of good faith. Like to me, it's like if someone owes me $500 and they say, hey, I'll get you by the end of the week, like Friday comes along, I expect at the very minimum, a text message. Give me $40 and be like, hey, I fully acknowledge that I said I'd pay you back by the end of the week. This is literally what I have right now that I can afford to let go of. I said it'd be the end of the week. I'm not going to make that deadline, but here's what I have. Something to show me you give a shit about my money. But you don't get that. It's just, empty promises. It feels really gross. I don't want to lose any friends over it. So I'm just not lending money
That's,
anymore.
I mean, just honestly, for our viewers, they're just getting into poker. Best advice, just don't lend. Just don't lend. It doesn't end well.
It never ends well.
It never ends well. And you get put into these spots where you do feel obligated. You're never fucking obligated, baby. Look at mama. Look at mama. You're never obligated, honey. That's your money.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never lent money. I've done, Venmo or something like that where same as you, it's like, all right, we're gonna wait till this clears, right?
Yeah.
Like I need the email confirmation that's like you have money in your account before I'm gonna hand the cash over to you. And I've also gotten to the point now too where even if I'm like I could use some digital dollars right now, for whatever, buying crypto or something. If some like random person, even if they're just like a total punter, is like, hey, does anybody have Venmo or whatever? I'm like, sorry, because people have even been, back charging or canceling. I know certain apps don't really allow that, but some do. And I mean, you have to be careful about that.
PayPal and Venmo are the sketch ones, y'all. PayPal and Venmo, I've heard stories of people like...
Yeah,
Same
you charge
company.
back or whatever.
Same company, and I've had some horrific PayPal experiences. Not really Venmo, but I've had some really, really bad PayPal experiences. I fucking hate them.
And another thing we don't talk about that I've dealt with in my short poker career is there are a lot of con man and scammers walking around. We've all seen like the little Instagram fake accounts that pop up and like all of a sudden Marley Sprague is in your DMs asking you for crypto. And it's like, why is Marley talking to you, y'all? Like put a little deductive reasoning into it. She's not. That's a scammer. So like if any public figure ever asks you for money, like please, please, please like get their cell phone number for like make sure it's them. That it's not. It's just literally not. It's a scammer. And there can be con men in real life. If there's someone at the table who's really charismatic, buying drinks for everybody, putting up this story like they're really wealthy, and then they're also telling you about a new business idea, fucking run.
If you're ever in need of some really good entertainment, there's a wormhole on YouTube where people scam scammers.
It's fun.
Hilarious. So when
I scammed a scammer once, I told you that story, right?
When the scam comes to them, they quickly identify what the scam is. And I mean, it's sort of like poker. It's like strategy, counter strategy. So they just figure out exactly what this person's doing and then do everything they don't want them to do. And of course, they film the whole thing and then put it on YouTube. It's great. It's really, really wildly entertaining, especially at 4 a.m.
Yeah. I once poked a hole in a scammer story who was scamming people in my community. And I got a free room in Caesars out of it because he was pretending to be like multi-platinum level, like whatever. And he canceled a trip we were all supposed to go on. I was like supposed to be staying in his suite or whatever. And I'm like, okay, well, I have my plane ticket, so I'm still going. Since you're like 7-star diamond or whatever, can you just get me like a double queen or something? Like, do you mind? Like, that's not like a big... And he didn't want me to like poke a hole in his story or whatever. So he went on like Expedia.com or whatever and just like bought me 2 nights in Caesars, like out of pocket to keep his story whole. And I feel bad for the people who he was successfully scammed. But me and the man who kept me company really enjoyed it. Thank you.
Got him.
How do you feel about a top 5, Caitlin? I got a fun one this week.
Okay. Wait, we didn't talk about the Ebony Joey thing. Let's talk about the Ebony Joey thing real quick.
All right. You're going to have to take the lead on this.
I'm going to do it.
I don't know all the facts.
I just want to talk about it because it's like a huge conversation and like they quoted me in a Poker News article. And like, okay, so what happened is Ebony bodied the competition in Cyprus at the Triton series. She absolutely bodied the competition. She ran deep in, I think, 3 events. She final tabled, I think, the 25K and the 200K. She got 5th in the 200K, got knocked out jacks versus 9s, like that 9 on the turn just crushed, the hearts of America. So many people rooting for her. She's never played high rollers like this. She was sponsored by Phil Nagy because the 200K is like an invitational where you have to have a recreational player sponsor you and y'all like play, like enter together. So she went with Phil Nagy. She did incredibly amazing. Now she's one of the top 5 female earning players of all time with her cash from this $200K. And Joey Ingram invited her on his podcast. And incidentally, I'm pretty sure Joey and Ebony are personal friends that have known each other for years. So I think Ebony really assumed, and I think we all assumed, that this interview was going to be us being like, wow, you've been in poker for so long, you overcame so much, like a victory lap of sorts. And Joey, you know, to his credit, he didn't derivate from what he normally does, which is, you know, asking hard-hitting questions and pressing issues and finding the scandal and kind of pushing his guests into like a less comfortable spot in a long-form interview. And I don't think Ebony was expecting that. And there were moments of tension when she was asked to answer for Phil Nagy's past inappropriate behavior, and when she was put under fire for, you know, what's it called? Shortcomings of ACR. So like canceling of guarantees, accusations of bots and cheating within the sites. And I was disappointed, and because you could tell Ebony was getting emotional and frazzled, not expecting this line of questioning. And it sort of came to a head when there was a moment where somebody in the chat, a moderator, Donna Morton, said, bitches have to stay together. And I think she meant it in more of like we all got to stay together. But Ebony saw bitches. She was already emotionally flustered. I mean, she just spent 2 weeks in Cyprus playing the hardest competition of her life, accomplishing something she was not supposed to get done. And I'm sure she was very emotional just with that alone, and being sleep deprived and feeling in the spotlight more and more vulnerable. So she really tried to give pushback about how we shouldn't be using the language of bitches derogatory, and it's about intention. And then when Joey was like, okay, well, that moderator is Donna, that's a woman, she kind of had egg on her face a little bit. And Joey didn't really, you know, come to her defense. He was really more in the moderator's corner. So Ebony got really frustrated and she ended the interview. I was quoted in Poker News because she wrote a reaction thread, and I retweeted it with the quote, like, I'm with her as per usual. Because honestly, like, I don't think she was perfect in the interview. She definitely got emotional for the reasons that I've already talked about. But I do think that she accomplished something so superhuman and momentous in our poker community for a woman to do. And it makes me so sad that that achievement was sort of clouded by whatever this just messy miscommunication was between Joey and her and the moderator or whatever. And then people coming out to defend the moderator and saying this person owes this person an apology. And meanwhile, Ebony just gets racist shit on the internet because people don't like that she got emotional in an interview. And I fucking hate that for her. So yes, I do have her back. That's a rundown of the situation for those of you I'll let the guys chime in here in a second. But I was really disappointed that Ebony wasn't louded up the way I wanted her to be. I don't think when we have our greatest moment, we need to answer for other people's, not even hers, but others' shortcomings. I don't think that that's fair. All right, guys, pop in here. What do y'all think?
I feel like the role of a moderator is not to choose sides. That might be a little bit, to use Joey's own term, that's a little out of line, I think, for the moderator to say that. Period. Mm-hmm. Like, you're literally supposed to keep other people from saying offensive shit and like put them in their place without taking sides. You're supposed to be kind of impartial if you're a moderator. It's kind of the definition of the word. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of the fact that it all came out of that. It's almost like, I'm not saying it's the moderator's fault, but that's some pretty poor moderating, if I must say. Yeah.
It's not on her to answer for Phil Nagy. And if you think that she should have looked Phil Nagy in the eye and said, no, I don't want to play $1 million worth of buy-ins with you because of shit that you were accused of over a year ago that you're working towards, like, ameliorating. You out of your fucking mind. She's going to play the tournament. There's no world in which she's not entitled to go to that. So I don't like that question. And then when things happen with ACR and they immediately go to their ambassadors. I know we talked with John Party about them, like, you know, trying to make that better communication pipeline, like a PR team of sorts to kind of help the ambassadors not feel like they have to answer for a corporation's failures.
I don't know. I'm gonna take the other side on this.
Let's go.
Not necessarily like, you know, championing one side or the other, but more just from a accountability standpoint. I do think that it's fair for people to question ambassadors and stuff. Like, obviously, they themselves are not responsible for the behavior of the parent company or whatever it is, right? But there's something about your integrity, and you're putting your name on something, and you're gonna co-brand with somebody. Then I think that it's very fair for people to ask the question of, like, how do you feel about X, Y, and Z that happened, or that is perhaps an unanswered question, but there's, some questions out there, something like that, right? I mean, we've got a similar thing happening in golf right now, right?
Okay.
Bunch of players moving over to this new tournament series that's being run by the Saudi Arabian royal family, right? And billions of dollars flowing to these players. You got a bunch of people getting poached away from the PGA Tour and these other tours. And, there's a lot of just like the internal conflict of what is that doing to the sport and whatever. But people are also rightfully asking questions like, you're taking money from a family that beheads people for being gay. You're taking money from a family that has, as far as anyone is concerned, openly murdered a journalist and dismembered the body in one of their embassies. Like, these are factual things. These are not just like, somebody like said something. No, like, this is some serious shit, right?
I love how you're not messy in poker, but you will fuck up the Saudi family.
Look, I mean, these are just like serious questions and like factual things that there's no question about.
Yeah.
And I think it's perfectly fair for people to be like, are you going to take money from that kind of an organization, from that kind of a group? And what's your response when people question you about your integrity and stuff, right?
Yeah.
Because we don't get to just be like, oh, well, like, how dare you question me about like that?
Yeah.
I just am doing my job and stuff. It's like, well, you were doing your job before working for PGA. And I don't know, maybe PGA's guilty of some dirty stuff too.
Yeah, the PGA Tour's hands are not completely clean either. They have their own sort. I could talk about this for 3 days, but I won't. And I still don't even know where I come out on all of it. But the interesting thing that, much like any issue that becomes very polarizing and people are like, oh, well, this is messed up, this is messed up. When you dig into the Saudi Public Investment Fund that is behind all of this, it is such a massive amount of money that the commissioner of the PGA Tour came out and just said, look, if this is a battle that's fought with, $100 bills, we lose. Like, straight up. If this comes down to money, we cannot win. So it's either coexist or fail if it comes down to just money. And the PGA Tour has been it for years and years and years. And there's been challenges to them in the past. But what's interesting is a lot of people said, if you want to stand, if the hill you want to die on is where the money's coming from, people started pointing out all of the things that the Saudi Public Investment Fund is invested in. And it's mind-numbing. It's things we use every single day in this country, and no one even knows that they're heavily invested in like Uber and things like that. It's like incredible. So it's like, wow. I mean, is it your job as a consumer to ask, who am I enriching by using this product or this service every single time you do? And it's like, well, maybe not, but at least if you're going to use that product or service a lot, once you know, now is it your duty to find something else, even if it's more expensive or less convenient or both. So it's really kind of interesting because a lot of the golfers that are getting asked these questions, they're going, have you considered the source of the money? And they're like, well, here's what I've considered is I make $5 million a year playing on the PGA Tour average over the last 15 years. And they just cut me a check for $40 million, which is 8 years of work. And I'm still playing for 3 times as much money every single time I play. So it's more time with my family and more money for my family. That's a win-win. I don't really care where the money's coming from.
Yeah, and I think that, people are going to have that sort of an answer. I think, whatever the details are for like how Ebony feels, how John feels, how the different ACR pros feel about the accusations, watching some of the tournaments get canceled, the guarantees not be met, the botting, all of the things that have gone on with that site that, I think people are rightfully concerned about. Whatever their personal feelings are, like they can have a very just like, my bottom line is what I care about. And until I'm shown something that really crosses my sort of like ethical boundary, I'm fine with this. Right?
And I think because you like playing on ACR. Like if I'm wearing a patch and I'm just like, oh, I love ACR. So I have a ACR shirt and I have this and, whatever. And someone's like, oh, are you affiliated with them? Like, no, it's just where I play. But if they're paying me you're going to get asked questions, and that's fair.
And like,
That's
honestly,
totally fair.
maybe this is a blind spot for me because I love Ebony and I'm so in awe of what she does. And I know what we deal with as women in poker. And she's, you know, a woman in poker, a Black woman who speaks her mind. I know she puts up with a lot of shit. And part of me just wants to have her back. But I do think that these are very important issues. And I will say, that I am concerned about cheating and all the different things that we've talked about in this discussion. But I just, as Ebony's friend, as her supporter, as her fan, I wanted her to have a triumphant moment that she earned. And I felt like she didn't get that because of the proximity of that sort of, you know, gotcha interview to her win. I just, you know, I wanted her to feel her glory, feel her power. And hopefully she still does. And she'll give an interview where she feels more heard and appreciated for her achievement as an individual, independent of, you know, where the money came from and what that means.
She can still be loved and she can still be celebrated. I think a lot of times in like today's society, it seems as though people feel personally attacked when they're asked questions about some of their professional endeavors. And it's like, it's not a personal attack. We're just asking.
What's the time? I need to ask you the time. Sorry.
It is currently 12:31 p.m. Central Standard.
All right, let's put a bow on this conversation and move on to the ending, whatever. But you finish what you're saying. I'm sorry. I just can't miss that stream. I don't want to lose my stream spot.
Sometimes people just, they get asked a question and they think it's like a personal attack. And it's not always a personal attack. I mean, sometimes it is, but I think it's fairly obvious when it is someone just having personal beef with someone. And I don't think Joey meant it that way. I mean, I can't speak for him, but it doesn't seem
I don't think he did anything
malicious.
different than what he does in all his interviews.
Right.
So it was, and like he did the talk back afterwards where people called into his Twitch channel, and I didn't watch that. But from what I understand, he was like kind of bewildered. He like really wanted to hear from other people that heard her point of view, like what happened, because he didn't even understand why she was upset. Mm-hmm. So I hope there's been some communication there. I'm obviously not close enough with Ebony to be involved or know, but I do have her back in this as her friend and fan.
Yeah, and I just want to say one thing really quick too, I of course was sort of guilty of driving it this way. Really got sidetracked on talking about like that connection with the professional organization and how that can drive like that part of the conversation. Of course, we did miss out on the fact that like she did have an amazing performance. Absolutely deserves some congratulations for that. Did deserve a little bit of a victory lap on there, and you know. It was more this comment about bitches that really was what, you know, created the flare up. And we didn't really dig into that very much. I don't know. I just wanted to say, like, you know, she had an amazing accomplishment. It's not just about like, oh, let's dig into the ACR stuff. It was just, I think it was just really unfortunate that the way that the conversation came about, I don't know all the details, but like that she felt, you know, a need to be like, hey, like that language is, you know, we shouldn't engage in that. And like that really sort of struck a chord for her. And that there wasn't a way for everybody to kind of be like, oh, like, how do we just navigate this to where like our guest on the podcast can feel like they're in a safe environment? Because you can do that and also not throw your mod under the bus. You can do that and also recognize the context under which that was stated, right? Like there's ways to do this. And I think it's part of a larger cultural situation that we have in the United States right now, where like these discussions, these sorts of things where one person sort of gets irritated or feels attacked, and like we just don't come together. Like we get divided and people fight, and it's like,
there's
come
a lot
on, like
of
we
assumption
can
in it.
And I will say that like
we can do better.
She's a Twitch streamer. She's a live streamer. And I'm sure any of you that watch poker streams regularly, when there's a woman appearing on it, you know, all the shitty comments in the chat are going to be about her. They're going to be about if she's a slut, if you think she's ugly, if you want to fuck her, if she's a whale, if she's a fish. And like, yeah, people say other comments about men too. But like, look at chats that Poker Bunny is a part of. Look at chats that I'm a part of. And you know what? I want to do the streams the most where I know the moderators aren't going to let those comments stick, because I don't want to go back there later or have my dad watching a stream and have a bunch of incels talking and calling me a cum dumpster. Like, no, that's not fun. That's not like, that's not censorship for your participant in your live stream to not feel like they can be degraded as such.
Yeah, we do that shit in person. We don't put that on the internet.
And I am a cum dumpster, just to clear that up. I know there was some like I'm sorry.
Let's move on. Let's move on.
Top 5.
Top 5. This is a fun one. Top 5 privileges for whales that regular poker players or sharks don't get. Rules that don't apply to the whales.
Hit me with it.
Okay, so to clarify, the whales here, poker is a zero-sum game. If you're paying a rake or a time charge or tipping a dealer, which is pretty much any poker game in the world, it's actually going to sum out to something negative. So people have to lose in order for people to win. In order for Caitlin to pay her bills, people got to lose money. The people that lose large amounts of money, known as whales. Mm-hmm. Everybody loves them. You got to understand, in the poker ecosystem, you got to have losers in order to have winners. So you kind of...
There's a reason why people stay whales, y'all. It's because they're treated VIP, very important, papa.
So in a particular order, counting backwards, number 5, whales get to harass the minorities in the game.
Literally everyone, but they can say stuff that maybe you couldn't go away with at a club that has an HR department, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. I mean, they get to call you a cum dumpster or, whatever. And it doesn't matter.
And again, that is
okay.
accurate. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Someone's like, hey, wait a minute. That's not right. And Caitlin's like, no, he's in the game for $15K. Just leave him alone. Leave him alone. It's fine.
Yeah, no, that's one of the things that we talked about, or I think we talked about when Lin got harassed by Nick, or, how if there's someone that's good for the game that you're there to play with, yeah. But it puts you in a shitty place as the woman, because if you're the one getting harassed and taking all that heat and you're trying to go with it. But the other day I was playing in a game and this guy was like, your vlog would be, I'm not going to do his accent because then you'll know who it is. But he was like, your vlog would be more popular if you put your pussy on it. Who in this room have you fucked? You know what you really need is you need to get sport fucked by a guy. Just continually all night. And I'm a fun girl. I can joke about being a cum dumpster, but I'm also a human being and I don't want to be harassed all night. But when it's a certain person, it's fucking hard.
Yeah, you got friends across the table texting you man, I would love to stand up for you right now, but I got no legs to stand on here.
Okay, I literally don't play with poker with people like that. No one would ever send me a loving and supported text message in game, but if y'all want to, you're welcome.
Number 4, they can violate pretty much any rule regarding money. So if there's a cap in the game of $1,000, let's say, and then they're like, I'm really stuck. Can I buy $3K? And I was like, yeah, of course. Of course you can. That's not a hard cap. I mean,
does a pope shin the wood?
Yeah. I mean, come on. Yeah, it's match the stack, and no one even has 3K. But if you want to put as much as, you know what? Just do whatever you want. Do whatever you want. They can take rebates. They could ship money and pay a debt across the town. I mean, no one is going to tell them.
Yeah,
no.
The pro that's built up a stack will just literally sell them chips from their stack.
Yeah, I got the table covered.
I'm a chip down to give him money. We're all okay with that, right?
Yeah, everyone understands what's going on here, right? Number 3. They can displace someone that already has a seat in a full game.
Oof, cut that line, BB, VIP.
Yeah, it can just be hey, he's here and the game, we don't have a seat. You were the last one to get here. So maybe it's time for you to go get some lunch. And
that is the tricky one, deciding who has to go. Usually everybody looks at the strongest shark and is like, should we gang up on this guy and get him out of here,
Yeah, get this person out of here. Come on. How can we make this? Everyone gathers. We're gonna buy your seat, and we're all gonna put a pool. We're gonna pool some funds, and we're gonna buy your seat.
Poker is such a goddamn knife fight. It's so depressing.
Yeah.
If you really stop and think about what the psychological warfare and how in the trenches we are.
Yeah, they can hit and run. This is number 2, hit and run. So that's kind of a big no-no in a lot of poker circles. You win a big pot, leave shortly after, whether you were planning to or not. No one's ever going to believe that you actually left your oven on or have to go feed your dog. Those aren't things that actually happen. Dogs don't need to eat, and we all know that. So, but the whale who, for whatever reason, actually wants to leave, of course, a lot of these things are anything to do to make them stay, but no one's ever going to accuse them when they've won for the one time out of the 30 sessions that they've logged of late. No one's ever going to be like, hey man, you can't leave, fuck you, that's bullshit. No, everyone's just like, oh man, good job, man, good win,
have a good night, Nathan, or whoever the hell it is.
Yeah, great win, good job, we'll see you tomorrow, right? You're coming back tomorrow?
Good game. See you tomorrow after your golf. You're golfing tomorrow, right?
Number 1, they can bend any other rule that we haven't mentioned already at their own discretion. Like
including the fragility of time. Like
they are
all
judge,
powerful.
Yeah, they are judge, jury, and executioner. They can decide when the game breaks. They can decide when the game starts. They could pause the game if they want.
They can what's it called? Incite a smoke break or a drug or lines break, whatever.
Emergency bomb pot. Like when they're like, oh hey, I know it's not bomb pot right now, but I just kind of want to play one. I was like, yeah, let's go. Let's do a bomb pot.
Go and make a call about a real estate deal for 45 minutes whenever they want.
Yeah, people waiting for a seat and they can just leave for 2 hours. Like, no, we'll hold it for you.
No, we're going to hold it for you. He's coming right back.
Yeah. Said he's coming right back. He's just going to Waco. He'll be back in 3 hours. Fuck off.
It's like not a big deal.
Yeah. So, yeah, those are fun. It must be fun to be a whale. I don't know, but it must be fun because you kind of do whatever you want.
Yeah, big papa.
Just allow it. I have one. It's like the fastest hand review ever. This happened like a month ago. I wanted to talk about it.
I hate it already. Go.
Guy who just seems to like perpetually lose, and it's in a 1-2 game, but the 1-2 game's a little bit rowdy as per usual. And so there might have been a double straddle on. Guy opens for really, really big open, and then this guy, the guy who seems to lose all the time, thinks he's perpetually unlucky. He just rips it. He usually short buys, like min buys, so it's never that much. And he's kind of always like in the all-in or fold kind of situation. And so he just rips it, but he rips it for like $280-something over a $40 open. And so, of course, folds back to the opener, and the opener goes, I will literally do whatever you want. I have trash cards. I'll call if you want to call. I'll fold if you want to fold. And we've seen this go the other way, but this guy was being dead serious, and he says, fuck yeah, I want to call. Like, yeah, I want to call. So he snaps in 3 black chips to call, and the guy tables aces. So he's like, yeah, I mean, I have 7 high. Like, I have 5-7 offsuit. That's it. Mm-hmm. And so being that this guy thinks he's just perpetually unlucky, I stated to the table, I said, I'm like scared to rip a flop off here because I just know this guy's going to flop 2 pair or something and get ahead of the aces, and everyone's just going to erupt in laughter because this guy just can't win no matter what he does. So after I've stated this, I've pulled the pot, I've made the pot and whatever, and I just peel off the 3 and I roll it over, and the window card is a 5. Oh. And everyone's like, oh no. So we all react just to the window card, and he's still behind. And then I spread the flop, and it's all 5s.
Oh my God.
Just flops him dead. The table just erupts. It was such pure theater. It was amazing. It was just, I think it took about a minute and a half to get the turn down. And then we were all just like deciding how much we would literally pay if we could just change fate and make the turn an ace. Like, just make the turn an ace. Please, please, please. Anything for an ace. But it wasn't. He broke the turn and, of course, lost the pot. But I did post it on a few forums, and just everybody's comments on it. It's just like, we've all seen one of those ridiculous, like, wait, he put in 300 with 7 high? Be like, yeah, he wanted me to.
I literally asked him permission.
Yeah, it's great. Little window into Texas poker when someone's like snap calling 300 just because their opponent wants them to in a 1-2 game. Just 150 bigs with 7 high. Just, yeah, okay.
Love it. Friendly game. All right. We end things every week on the Texas Poker Experience with a segment we like to call Harsh But Fair. Harsh But Fair is a roast. You are giving feedback. When you receive your feedback, you are not allowed to rebut it, although we break this rule constantly. You're not allowed to rebuttal your feedback. You're just supposed to say, thank you, Harsh But Fair. Craig, are you going first this week?
I will go first.
Let's go.
Caitlin.
Okay.
I started our day. You told me that your week was just not going swimmingly yesterday when we spoke. And
that's the biggest understatement.
So I woke up early enough to make myself a coffee. Anyone who knows me knows I'm like always with hot caffeinated beverages, always. And so I woke up with enough time to not just make myself one, but I said, you know what? I'm going to bring Caitlin one, and I'm going to put it in this travel mug so it'll last. And I made 2 different flavors, and I did not take a sip of either until we got here. That way you could choose which flavor you wanted. And then you took a sip, and you go, oh, Jackie makes the best coffee. You just assume there's no fucking way I could make something that good. It's just got to be Jackie, no matter what. And then when I told you I made it, you're like, actually, it's not as good. It's not as good as I originally thought. Now that I know you made it, it's like you cheapened it somehow.
Jackie puts her love in it. Jackie puts her just like magnetic charisma and like specialness, her maternal instincts. I taste all of it. Your coffee's still good. And thank you, friend. I feel loved and supported. Thank you.
Oh, now
It
you'll
was
change your
delicious.
tune. During Harsh But Fair,
Thank
change
you,
your
Harsh
tune.
But Fair. Sorry, Jack.
Aaron,
Yeah.
you are a very, very smart guy. And I just thought, sitting next to you for an hour and a half, I thought I would get smarter by osmosis. But I still feel as dumb, possibly dumber than I felt.
Aaron's Harsh But Fair is that you're dumb.
Yeah. I really thought I could gain some intelligence just by sitting next to him for a period of time, but apparently it doesn't work that way. I actually feel less intelligent. So thank you for that.
Accept your feedback, Aaron.
Harsh, but fair.
Love it. All right. Aaron, are you ready or you want me to go first?
No, I'm happy to go. Do I do one for each of you?
You do one for each of
okay.
us, yeah.
So the story that you told earlier about your newborn child just not digging you, your man chest is just severely lacking. You're gonna need to bulk up those moves so that you can correctly, or at least attempt to give your child some love and
I
support.
don't have the breast milk.
You have a
nor do I
concave
have the
chest.
padding.
Yeah,
comfort.
you're lacking in that.
You're like a
department.
13-year-old girl who hasn't started her period yet, and all her friends have, and you're so jealous.
That is supremely harsh. A little bit unfair, but I'll
That's not
accept
even
it.
your harsh. That's just his. I'm just helping. That was an
I
assist.
know. Yeah. All right, fair. Craig Skinny. Ha ha.
Everyone, it never gets old.
And let's see, Caitlin. I don't know. I'm. Everybody, including yourself, gives you such a hard time about your man hands. But have you guys seen her man feet? It's going a whole different direction there. So.
I literally never wear open-toed shoes, but thank you, Harsh But Fair.
have hobbit
So I
feet?
guess you're just making the assumption there. No, I shave my feet like a normal grown woman. Just kidding.
With a cheese grater or
No, all girls get toe knuckle hair when they're Irish with dark hair, and it's something that you stay on top of and you maintain. I can't believe I'm saying this into a microphone. Thank you, Harsh But Fair.
On a drunken dare one time, I waxed one foot, including the toes, and that was so incredibly painful. I have a hard time even describing the pain.
I don't even want to really imagine
ripping
that.
toe hair out is very painful for anyone who doesn't know. Give it a try if you don't believe me. But live stream it, please.
I'll pass.
Okay, thank you, Harsh But Fair. All right, Craig. You're Harsh But Fair. Can you show the camera audience that you're wearing shorts today? You're wearing like blue Bermuda shorts with the nicest belt I've ever seen. Like, it's like when I first see your outfit, I'm like, oh, he's here to be the captain of our kickball team. You
That's
know,
great. Harsh
let's
but fair.
go.
You're done. Very
But-
nice. I like it. Thank you. On to Aaron.
Why'd you wear that belt with it? That belt's too nice for those shorts. And it doesn't even color coordinate. That belt is leather. It does not go with your little third grader outfit. It just doesn't.
I hadn't even seen the belt. That is not the choice I would have
Okay.
made.
With the exception of the shirt, this is very much just an outfit I would wear if I was going to play golf. These are nice Bermuda shorts. These would be very appropriate for golf. These are shorts I probably bought to play golf. I just happened to wear them today, and then I would just wear a polo shirt, and it would be tucked in,
No,
showcasing
this is great
the belt.
because your hairy legs distract from how thin you are. So this is perfect.
So I
Bulks
don't
you up a
understand. What's the Harsh But Fair? You've hit like 4 things already. So
I
which
know.
one is it?
I'm just mean.
I feel like the shirt.
User's choice.
What kind of belt am I supposed to wear? I need help.
You look. I hate being this mean to you all the time because I literally adore you and you're one of my best friends and you take good care of me.
Okay,
But
you owe me
fucking
one.
suck it, you skinny bastard.
You owe me 1 belt.
Okay, we'll
Harsh
do.
But Fair.
Yeah, you need some like snakeskin boots to go with that belt.
Ooh. And the shorts.
Why not?
Yeah. Snakeskin
Just
boots,
own it.
Bermuda shorts, and a leather belt.
All right, Aaron. Your Harsh But Fair is that before we started, when you first arrived into the garage and you saw the camera equipment and the lights, you said, oh no, I didn't know we were going to be on camera. As though you have ever looked slightly better or slightly worse than how you look right now. Those are the clothes you wear every day. That's how you wear your hair. That's how your beard looks. Like, had you known we were on camera, the fact that you think you would have done something different is wild to me. Okay, that's your Harsh But Fair.
Very fair. Very fair.
Yeah.
All right, y'all. This has been the Texas Poker Experience. Huge thank you to my personal friend and crusher, Aaron McEvoy, for being fun and shooting the shit with us. I'm so glad you had a failed career as a nuclear physicist. It goes very well with my failed physicist. It goes very well with it pairs well with my failed comedy career. So it's lovely. We both chose to leave. It was our choice. Just kidding. And
what
thank
have you failed at today?
Golf. He's
golf.
a failed golfer.
I have a failed golf career. So
yeah.
Lovely.
So let us know in the comments, what was your failed career? What did you try and fail at before you settled for what you're doing now? We can't wait to hear from you. My name's Kayla Komeski. That's Craig Sear. This has been the Texas Poker Experience. I wanted to hype up my girl B Nasty. If you know her, she's a dealer over at Red Star. She's starting a game on Mondays that's going to be 1-2 match the stack. It's 200 to 1,000 match the stack after the start of the game. I'm going to be there next Monday to show some love to my friends at Red Star. Shout out to E, who, by the way, when I was giving shit about the meetup game, that was to do with Craig and his poor negotiating. Red Star has done me no wrong, and I love the club. All right, y'all. Subscribe, give us a thumbs up. Thanks for watching the Texas Poker Experience.
Don't be in it.
Remember to put the straddle on.